Hey guys, it's Marco again. I hope you all had a good time since the last time I made a video. Downtime of phase 3 was pretty chill, but it's time to bring you up to speed for the next phase by going over all the changes which are coming to rogues. First things first, let's check out the new cloak runes, which gave us the AoE capability. Blunderbuss, 20 seconds long cooldown which just blasts 4 enemies in a cone in front of you for 600ish damage. This rune was great until its damage was nerfed by 50%. In current state, I don't think that it will see any play in dungeons. Second rune is Crimson Tempest. It's a finishing move that just applies a bleed similar to Rupture to all the targets around you. I'm personally not a fan of this one since it takes some time to set it up and usually ads and trash mobs are dying way too quickly for this to be effective. It benefits from the same talents as Rupture, but that's only serrated blades, which increases Rupture damage by 30%. Lastly, we got everyone's favorite, Fan of Knives. I just love this ability and it does nice amount of uncapped AoE damage. This will be my go-to cloak enchant for dungeon spamming, even though it has been nerfed from 75% to 50% of your weapon damage. However, its most important part is that it still applies Deadly Brew, and let's not forget the energy regeneration from focused attacks if they land a critical hit. Overall, I like that we have some AoE capability, and this will hopefully make people invite more rogues to dungeons. Now for the changes of our older runes. Poisoned Knife has a new feature. It refunds 5 energy per application of deadly poison on a target, it no longer has minimum range, and it now benefits from effects and talents that modify Sinister Strike. This actually makes it a viable rune in PvE, especially if you're fighting a static target where you don't need Shadow Step. It's a small damage dealing ability which guarantees a poison application, and with improved Sinister Strike it refunds energy at 5 deadly poison stacks. Shuriken Toss received a massive buff. It no longer does damage equal to measly 15% of your attack power, but 50% of your attack power. It will also award 1 combo point for each target hit. But there are always bad news connected to Shuriken Toss. It no longer is spammable, now it has a 30 seconds cooldown, which is absolutely bad, because if you were tanking as a rogue in a dungeon, you would use Shuriken Toss to pull the mobs, and that would generate a good bit of aggro so you don't lose them instantly, and you would usually just spam like 2 or 3 Shuriken Tosses to make sure of that. And now with 30 seconds cooldown, it can get super hectic. Honestly, I think that they need to reduce the cooldown for the current damage that it does. At least like it should be a 10-second cooldown maximum. Like I would even say like 6 or 7 seconds cooldown, and that would be a great thing for Shuriken Toss. But with 30 seconds, it's just way too long of a cooldown, and it doesn't do any spectacular damage. So they actually did a good change to Shuriken Toss, but then they pooped all over it. Deadly Brew, your poison can now be active on targets affected by another rogue's deadly poison. Saber Slash Bleed now only stacks to 3 instead of 5, so they reverted that change, but the bleed will do reduced damage. However, they buffed increased damage from your Saber Slash and Sinister Strike based on number of stacks applied, and you will still get your 100% damage increase on only 3 stacks. This will render Saber Slash a lot more usable in real fight situations. It will require a lot less time to set up. Occult Poison is a new poison, and it has a 30% chance to apply deadly poison on a target, and it benefits from all talents and effects that trigger or modify deadly poison. More important fact is that it will cause the enemy to take 2% increased non-physical damage and stacks up to 5 for 10% increased spell damage. All the casters will want the presence of a rogue, which is great news for us. Slaughter from the Shadows reduces backstab and ambush cost by 30, which means those abilities will now only cost 30 energy. It also increases backstab and ambush damage for 60% on non-player control targets, which is extremely great for PvE. Most of you forgot that Shiv rune exists, and because of that it will be replaced by a new rune, Cutthroat. You no longer need to be behind your target to backstab, ambush or garrote. You will also have 15% chance that your backstab makes your next ambush not require being in stealth. This is a great change, and backstab will finally have a more useful rune on this slot apart from Saber Slash Bleed application. However, I don't think that backstab is a proper name to the ability anymore. Carnage rune received a small quality of life change for rogues. We now heal for 40% of all damage done by Rupture or Crimson Tempest. I like this small buff and it can prove useful in some situations, especially if you're tanking. Developers didn't like that everybody is using Mutilate for the last two phases, so they decided to low-key gut it by reducing its weapon damage by 20% and the bonus damage by 20% in hopes that players will play other runes. I never like seeing nerfs and I hope that this won't kill Mutilate completely. When it comes to Envenom, the first change is that they remove damage based on your deadly poison doses on the target, so I guess you can use Envenom if another rogue applied deadly poison to the target. They also reduced Envenom's damage by 20% and its attack power contribution by 20%. This is just a sad nerf and they defended by Envenom just being OP compared to other finishers. When it comes to tank rogue specifically, Blade Dance now grants 4 attack power for each point of your defense skill beyond your appropriate level. Unfair Advantage also triggers from parries and they hit your current target and grant 1 combo point when it triggers. Great change really. Main Gauche grants 100% parry chance until your next parry instead of 10% parry chance. It also reduces the cost of Sinister Strike by 10 energy and its combo point generation was reduced from 3 to 1. It's a good change purely defensively wise because you'll be able to plan to exactly parry the next attack so your healers get a breather or something like that. But this rune still shares glove slot with all the other great runes which will generate aggro, so I think that this won't see any play. And that wraps up all of the upcoming changes to rogues. Overall there's a lot of good changes and I hope that we'll see more approaches to rogue gameplay. Thank you for watching and bye bye.